And I wanted to share a little bit about you with our audience. Some of them might know you because they might be living in Dallas, but others that are joining us from other parts of the country or other parts of the Metroplex might not be familiar but with who you are. And first of all, I wanted to share with people that not only are you a dentist, a professional, you're also a parent, you're a wife, and you have your own business. So you do so much, not only for your family and your business, but for the community. And there you are. So this is great to be able to see you. And so it's really good for people to know. Thanks. It's good for people to know all of the things that you're doing for the community as well as the commissioner. So thank you for joining us. I know you have a very busy schedule, but we're happy to have you. You're also the first lady for LULAC. So I know that probably also takes a lot of your time when you have a responsibility like that. And so with that, I'd like to turn it over to you and tell the people a little bit about yourself, and then we can get started with your presentation.
Well, I'm Dr. Elba Garcia, Dallas County Commissioner for District 4, and I want to first thank Rafaela and Raul for the opportunity to be with all of you this afternoon, doing what I love to do as much as public service, being a dentist. As you all know, I was born and raised in Mexico City. I came to this country after I found Prince Charming, that happened to be from a place called Oak Cliff in Dallas, Texas. So when he decided who was going to move, if I was going to come here or he was going to be in Mexico as a lawyer, we both have just graduated from dental and law school. So he said, oh, but there's a lot of Mexican lawyers in Mexico. Well, there's not enough bilingual Latinas right here in Dallas, Texas. So looking at it from the perspective of where being at that time, you know, about 30% of the population, it just made business sense, right? Of course, the big challenge is, and was at the time, I didn't speak English. So I have to go to school. I started at El Centro College. I always say that they give me the first shot. Then, you know, I started as a dental assistant, figuring that I have to go back to dental school to be able to certify my dental degree from Mexico into the United States. And well, graduated in 1990. And the first job that I have was with Community Dental Health. They wanted Latino dentists. We were at that time but 2 or 3. So I got hired on the spot to be one of the service providers in the Latino areas. That's when I started learning what politics was all about, right? You know, everybody in the community, the neighborhood, you know the challenges in sidewalks, in, services when it comes to animal control. So pretty much Elba Garcia starts learning about political issues as a dentist serving in the Latino community. So I owe you and all my patients and all the people that always support me the opportunity to serve. And I am delighted to be here with all of you. And after that, I got frustrated and somebody said, why don't you run for office, Elba? You should. I mean, you're a dentist, you have your own practice. You can do it because it's the right thing to do, and the rest is history. First time I ran, and I hear it all during those times. What are you doing running for office? You're a woman, you're a Latina, you have an accent. Really, I have an accent? I never noticed. So, but every vote counted. I knew that most of the people that vote are Latinas, and especially in District 1, people like me, that look like me, speak like me, and have the same issues like me. So I won by 40 votes the first time. And then when I decided to run for commissioner, I had already, record in the community. And I'm very thankful that they allowed me to be the first Latino ever to serve in the Dallas County Commissioner's Court. And this time we didn't win by 40 votes. We won for more than 3,000 votes in a Republican district. And well, a Latino woman with an accent, won for the first time. So with that being said, that's a little bit about me. And, one of the things that I always tell the moms that are listening, and of course my patients, is how important is the dental health for the general well-being, Rafaela. The reality is you cannot eat well, you cannot sleep well. Dental pain is probably one of the worst dental pains that anybody can have. Why? Because all the nerves in the mouth are attached to the brain one way or
Yes.
another. So it's extremely important that we take care of our health, oral health, as well as our children. And I know, because I hear it all the time, oh, Dr. Garcia, but baby teeth don't hurt. You know, incorrect. They do have nerves and they do hurt as much as adult, permanent teeth.
Yeah.
So it's very important that we teach our children not only the habits of good oral hygiene, but as a general health. Okay. And I always say, and I know it's amazing that little babies know when I say no bubble gum, no candy, no sugar, no sodas. Okay, I mean, it's a general context of well-being. And of course, brush your teeth at least twice a day, morning and night. Of course, right now that we're at home, you can do it 3 times and floss the 3 times. But I know for those of you that are working and don't have an opportunity to brush your teeth at lunch, do it in the morning and at night. And of course, flossing is extremely important, especially in permanent dentition, so we don't get interproximal caries. So I have a presentation because I was asked to talk about dentition in general and how to take care of ourselves. If that's okay with you, we go through it, or I do it any way you want it.
No, why don't we go ahead and start with the video? I had a chance to see the video and I thought it was really cute when they're demonstrating how to brush your teeth. So maybe we can start with the video and we can go to the presentation right after that.
Brush your teeth, okay? Okay, so with brushing, we want to make little circular motions all around the teeth and also a little bit onto the gum. Can you show me? On your teeth. Yep. And in addition to the front teeth, we also want to get all the way to the back. And once we're done with the back teeth and the front teeth, we also want to go on the inside, on the tongue side. Okay? On the top, on the bottom, and the top. Both sides, left and right. After we're done with brushing the teeth, what else do we need to brush out there? The tongue. Perfect. The tongue is out, we brush the tongue. Usually there's a lot of dirty stuff on the tongue that may tickle a bit, but that's what we gotta do to keep everything clean, okay? Okay.
And I want to thank Dr. Chen and an associate in my practice and our wonderful patient that was our model for the presentation. So you always want to tell, obviously your kids and yourself to brush in the right motion. And people tend to say, oh, I already brushed in 30 seconds. No, a good oral brushing takes at least 2 minutes. So it's a commercial. So, and remember, for all the adults, we always start on the same side, Rafaela, and finish on the same side. We are, after doing it for years and years and years, it becomes an automatic decision. So I always remind my patients, when you're about to brush, don't start always on the same side. Try to rotate it. People ask me, what about electric toothbrushes? I think electric toothbrushes are really good. They usually help kids and adults to brush better, but you do have to do it on the right angle. Never like we're playing the violin, okay? Always in circles, like Dr. Chen said, and going around every quadrant of the mouth. And don't forget, as she mentioned, your tongue at the end. And the flossing, you start in the back, coming to the front, or either any way you want it, just go into every single contact on your teeth. So with that being said, as a general started, we'll go to the dental care for your child, cuidado dental para sus niños. And we go to the next page. In the next page, we can see we all have primary teeth, which are what people call baby teeth, los dientes de bebé. And we start getting teeth when we're young, and we can go to the next slide, from the 8 months. Sometimes it can be earlier or later. I tell moms not to worry when we start getting the primary teeth. And when the primary teeth is all in the oral cavity, we have a total of 20 teeth. And there we go. We can see how at the 8 months, you usually have the incisors, the lower anterior and the upper anterior, and there we go. By the age of 29 months approximately, you should have 10 teeth on the top and 10 teeth on the bottom arch, and those are your primary teeth. Then we go to the permanent dentition. As the kid has 6 to 7 years is when we start losing those baby teeth, and we start getting the permanent teeth. Remember, the 6-year-old molars, come at the very end. They're not, moms say, when did those teeth came in? Nothing has fallen off in the back. Well, remember, the permanent first molars come in without having any of the primary teeth fall off. Los dientes permanentes, las muelas permanentes de hasta atrás, entran en la cavidad oral sin que se caiga ningún diente de leche. So, by 17 years, you already have, if you have your 2 upper wisdom teeth and your 2 lower wisdom teeth, a total of 32 teeth. If not, you don't have some of the wisdom teeth, you have them complete by 12 to 17 years. It's very common when teeth are coming in to have some discomfort, and sometimes the baby tooth or the primary tooth doesn't fall off. When that happens, obviously you can always go to your provider, to your doctor, to your dentist, so it can be extracted. So going to the next page, we can see, what is the composition of a tooth, right? There's 3 parts in each tooth: the crown, que es la corona, hasta arriba. Then you have the dentin, which is the middle, and then you have the nerve. And baby teeth, just as permanent teeth, have nerves that can hurt. I think I already mentioned that. But in this page, you can pretty much see that the baby tooth follows a pattern of eruption to the permanent tooth follows a pattern of eruption for the baby tooth to fall off. So people say, Dr. Garcia, there has no roots. No, remember, a permanent tooth reabsorbs the roots of the baby teeth. Los dientes permanentes reabsorben las raíces de los dientes de leche, y es por eso, porque cuando se caen, no tienen raíces los dientes de bebé. Okay, so moving along, we can see in the next slide why it's so important to brush your kids' teeth since they're infants, desde que son bebitos y empiezan a salir. A lot of mothers says, well, they're baby teeth, they're still going to be 1 or 2 years before I need to brush them. No. We start brushing their teeth as soon as they come into the oral cavity. And of course, one of the things that we still see, even when we know that is something that we cannot do, is do not allow the baby or the infant to sleep with the bottle. Oh, but he or she cries all night long, and if I don't give him the bottle, you can always give them the bottle with water. And I mean plain water. Muchas mamás dicen, no les tengo que lavar los dientes hasta que ya estén grandes, and no pueden dormir si no les doy la leche. And we no los dejamos que se duerman con la leche, porque remember, milk is the most sugar drink that you can have. And that's why babies take them. They have all the nutrients that the body needs to develop. However, when you leave them on the mouth for 8 hours that the baby sleep, cuando usted deja la botella en un bebé por 8 horas, you give their teeth a shower of sugar. Dejas que los dientes empiecen a corroer completamente por el baño de azúcar. So if the baby needs a bottle to sleep, don't forget to fill it out with plain water. Never with Gatorade. Oh, it has so much good electrolytes. No, remember, Gatorade and a lot of the drinks, even natural juices, I always tell my moms and my dads, look around that can. If it has 45 grams of sugar, si tiene 45 gramos de azúcar o más, es lo mismo que una Coca-Cola, es lo mismo que una taza de azúcar. Nosotros nunca agarraríamos una taza de azúcar y nos la comeríamos a cucharadas, right? We will never take a cup of sugar and eat it with a spoon. But we can do it when we drink 3 Cokes a day, 3 complete cups of sugar. It's a lot for an adult. You can imagine for a baby or for an infant or from a toddler. So moving along, we never let the baby sleep with milk or any other product that is not water. Next slide. We're just showing the same thing. Dr. Garcia, what do I use for my baby? And we usually say when they're very small, just a small pea size of any toothpaste is good enough for you to brush them. It's good to get into a habit. A lot of moms say, oh my God, this kid cries and they don't let me. It's a matter of playing with them. It's a matter to get them used that they have to brush their teeth at least twice a day, and particularly at nighttime, which if everyone asks me what's the most important one, is always at nighttime. Why? Because the mouth is going to be without moving itself for 8 hours. During the day, when we talk, when we're moving, one way or another one, the mouth is having some kind of self-cleaning. At nighttime is when cavities and caries grow faster because they have no movement. So we see the circles. That is very important. Always get to the gum line and be sure that you clean between the gum and the tooth. Moving along, our next slide is pretty much how to floss. And you're going to see it, just 18 inches of floss. Es importante que cuando se vaya a pasar el hilo dental, tenga suficiente espacio para darle vuelta al hilo dental alrededor de todos los espacios interdentales. Be sure that when you're flossing, which is the next slide, tenga suficiente para pasar el hilo, to have enough floss to go in between every contact. Now, Dr. Garcia, we already talked about what we have to do, what we have to eat, how we have to brush. What's cavities? What is a caries? How do they develop? You know, when bacteria in the mouth, starches and sugars stay on the teeth for a long period of time, we can see that an acid is produced, and this causes a demineralization of the enamel. Cuando la bacteria se queda por muchas horas dentro de la boca y no se remueve, empieza a haber una desmineralización del esmalte dental, que es la parte externa del diente, y ahí es donde se forman las caries, ahí es donde se forman el proceso de una cavidad. Going next, you know, we already talked that from birth, we're going to have to make those changes. Remember, guys, nobody gave us, you know, when we were kids, Gatorade or Coke when we were little. I mean, I don't remember drinking Coke until I was like 10 or 11 years old. I mean, it was always some kind of natural juice or some kind of water with flavor. I still remember that Tang. I don't know if some of you remember, but nowadays there's so many different things that you can give kiddos. You know, I put the little pacifier on the honey. Well, I mean, obviously, baby's gonna like the honey. Sugar tastes great. It's just we know that if we have it every day, it's not good. So we need to start taking our kids' hygiene and their well-being of their mouth since they're babies. We already talked not to put any kind of sugary liquid. Don't let them sleep with them. Clean their teeth since they come out into the mouth. And of course, when you're 6 months, and this is in Spanish, you know, remember, if you have Medicaid and some dental insurances, si usted tiene Medicaid o aseguranza dental, muchos de ellos cubren, some of them cover their cleaning since they are 3 months old. And what we do is we just put fluoride, clean them, and we get the baby used to come to the dentist, which when you don't have any cavities is a lot of fun, trust me. And at the same time, I get to see mom and dad, and we talk about dietary habits. Hablo con los mamás y los papás diciéndoles qué es lo que pueden comer, cómo tener una dieta balanceada. And like I say, this gets covered from 3 months to 3 years of age by Medicaid without having to pay anything. And Medicaid cover dental visits till they are, 18 years old. So if you do, you can always apply for Medicaid, or if you have dental insurance, go ahead and if your kid is an American citizen, definitely they qualify for these services. Next slide, we can see why this is important, because when we have babies sleeping with bottles and liquids that have too much sugar, the next stage is having baby bottle syndrome. And baby bottle syndrome is still very prevalent in our society, even when we have more and more information. And we can see from a small demineralization, mild on the top picture, all the way to severe baby bottle syndrome, where those teeth, you can see already all the infection and they have to be extracted. And one of the things why we want kids to have their baby teeth is because, remember, we already talked about permanent teeth follow the baby teeth. So when we extract baby teeth when the kids is too young, cuando sacamos los dientes de leche cuando el niño es muy joven, sometimes the permanent teeth, sometimes the permanent teeth, algunas veces los dientes permanentes don't come out in a good position because they don't know where to go. So in the next slide, we also see advanced cases of baby bottle syndrome. And this is something that we really want to avoid, because in babies, they have to be put asleep to take care of these treatments. And most of the time, these teeth sometimes they can be saved with a pulpotomy, which is the baby kid root canal, or by the only other way, a veces nada más puede ser con coronas o con extracciones. In the next slide, we can see how fast the case can go when oral hygiene is not taken care of. And I have to say, we now in our society eat a lot of sugar, you eat a lot of soft foods. If we remember, 20, 30 years ago, nobody was going to give you a candy when you went to the bank. You did not have a celebration with cupcakes every single time somebody had a birthday, and there was a birthday every other day. So it's very important that when we see demineralization or manchas blancas in the teeth, it's important that you go and check out with your dentist. The next slide, we can see how many times a year do I have to go to my doctor and to my dentist. We recommend to be at least every 6 months or twice a year. Like we already talked about how important it is to take care of yourself while you're pregnant and the baby when they're born. And it's all about starting early. In the next slide, we also can see that kids over 2 years of age, obviously they're starting to know and wanted to do it themselves. Allow them to do it. Just be sure that you keep, supervising. Si ya los niños se quiere lavar solo, hey, that is good. Just supervise him or her and be sure that they're doing a good job. And in the last slide, we see some of the preventive measures, and this is called sealants. En español, selladores dentales o de fisuras. And these are usually placed in permanent teeth in the grooves of the tooth, so they can get covered. And if food stays there, it protects them. It's a preventive measure. Now, remember, they only last for 6 months to a year. But I always recommend my patients, especially my little patients that are in mixed dentition, that means some baby teeth and some permanent teeth, to have these sealants, because it does prevent further caries. Now, if the kid has a lot of sugar in their diets, I see cavities around the sealants. But we're trying to prevent cavities, so we want to be sure that we put all the necessary means to prevent them. O sea que estos selladores de fosetas y fisuras es para prevenir que las grietas del diente se careen, pero desgraciadamente si la dieta no es una dieta saludable, como quiera las caries pueden crecer y desarrollarse. Well, that is in a nutshell, in a very short period of time, what want people to know. Diet and oral hygiene are extremely important for our overall well-being. So we can imagine that our kids educated, and the idea for us to have these kind of presentations is for parents and children to get educated since they're young. So by the time you're 16 or 17, you have a beautiful smile, healthy teeth, and you're a healthy person because you eat right, avoiding bubblegum candy sugar and bubble gums with sugar. So you can grow up with a healthy mouth, healthy body.
Well, thank you so much for the presentation. We have a couple of questions coming in. One of them is, how often should you floss? Do you do it every day, or how often?
Every day. When I was growing up, floss didn't even exist in Mexico City. So I didn't know about floss until I went into dental school. So I was already 18 years late. But with that being said, right now in today's society, every day. And if you cannot do it in the morning, at lunch, at least every night. Remember, at nighttime, when we're not talking, when we're sleeping, is the most important time to floss so the food doesn't stay in between your teeth all night long.
So you mentioned that ideally it's great if we can brush our teeth 3 times a day, but if not, at least in the morning and at night. What about our tongue? How often do we brush that too?
Every single time too. If you're putting a toothbrush in your mouth, might as well brush your tongue. Why? Why, Dr. Garcia? I mean, the tongue is just the tongue. Well, remember, the tongue has sensitive areas called papillas. La lengua tiene los papilas y es bien importante as we grow older, como cuando vamos creciendo, those papillas get deeper and deeper. So the toothbrush cleans the tongue in the crevices of those papilas. O sea, el cepillo dental limpia las papilas y cuando nos hacemos más grandes, y no quiero llamarnos viejitos, pero hey, that is in it. As we get older, the papillas get deeper. So it's more important that you brush with age.
Okay, so maybe that's why we can taste, chile, or when we eat something hot a little bit more. It seems like the older we get, it's like, wow, I could eat hotter food younger than when you're older. Maybe that's kind of a side effect of that.
Hey, you can have that chile all day long, so that's why you have to brush 3 times.
Then another question. I know when my children were young, the dentist told us we could give them water with fluoride. Is that something that we should do? I know now, with the Early Head Start program that we had, I went with Araceli, the director, to buy formula. And they had like all kinds of formulas. Some had fluoride, some this and that. So is that something that we should be able to provide to our kids to help their teeth to get stronger?
We are lucky that we live in the North Texas region, and most of the municipalities within Dallas County have fluoride water, Rafaela, so no need to spend. I know that you can go to the water department and you also see fluoride water. But if you live in a rural area where the water is not fluoridated, si usted vive en un área rural donde el agua no tiene fluoruro natural, entonces sí se recomiendan. Then I can recommend some of the fluoride waters or fluoride milks. But in Dallas County, we have fluoride in the water, the right amount. So brushing and a good diet is the most important thing.
Okay, so the other thing you mentioned, and that's something that I know, I go based sometimes on what my mom used to tell us. You mentioned don't let the babies fall asleep with their pacifier or with the formula, drinking their milk and so forth. My mom used to tell us that it could ruin your teeth, that they would not be as pretty and as perfect as they should be. Is that also true, or is it a myth of my mom just to scare us to not go to sleep with a bottle?
Oh no, she was a wise woman. She's completely right. And remember, it's when you sleep with anything that has sugar, you are giving your teeth. I always say, constant sugar for hours. And that's why baby bottle syndrome, and that's why you have more propensity, tienes más propensidad to have caries as you grow older. So no, as a matter of fact, remember, now we know that sugar is addictive, right? Mm-hmm. That, what do we say? We finish eating and you say, oh my God, I feel like something sweet, right? How many of us have that feeling? And I'm guilty on that one. Oh gosh, the afternoon is getting bored and too long. What do I have sweet to eat, right? So it's addictive, and sugar is one of the most addictive substances that we can have. I see the babies as you are in the checkout line, and I'm not going to say the grocery stores, but it's where you see all the candy, right? Why do you have all the candy around the cashier? Because a kid or an adult is going to come and say, oh my God, there's my, Butterfinger. Oh my God, there are my gummy bears. And you're going to take them in an impulse and buy them, right? I see the kiddos, Mom, I want them. Be ready when your kids are at that age to say, your dentist say, not to have that. It's good for us, it's good for our future, it's good for your teeth. And that's it. And then we have to lead by example. I have parents that come with the baby and they have the bubble gum. Hi, Dr. Garcia, how you doing? Give me that bubble gum, Miss Garcia. Come over here. If you're going to chew bubble gum, try to do one of the non-sugar brands. But overall, remember, everything is about choices and habits. If you learn to drink a lot of sugar when you're young, chances are, once that kid is in 7th or 8th grade, when the soda machine is out there, he's going to have, instead of one little can, the big half a liter, right? I have some patients that come and say, oh, I hate milk, I hate water. The only thing I drink is Coke. But it's a Sprite. It doesn't matter if it has color or it doesn't have color. They all have almost the same amount of sugar. Oh, no, it's diet. Oh, it's sugar-free. Really? Well, then those are artificial colorants and they artificial sugars. So, let's be natural. Our body is made of blood, which main content is water. Nuestros cuerpos están hechos de sangre, el que tiene mayor componente de agua. So what's the best liquid we can drink? Water. So, el mejor líquido que podemos tomar es agua. Ay, doctora, pero es que I get a headache if I don't have my Coke in the morning. Well, it's just going to take a little longer than 2 weeks, but you can do it. Water is the best thing you can drink.
So we don't recommend that you get water and then put a little bit of flavor, or you know how they have all those little flavor water bottles out there. So we should drink pure, clear water.
And always check what you're drinking. You're right. Oh, this is the water flavor of to lose weight. Really? And then you look at that envelope and it has, 20 grams of sugar, in a diet drink. Well, it doesn't have 45, but 20 is half a cup. Remember always when you turn that, what you're about to drink, look at the sugar contents. If they say nothing, and doesn't have artificial colorings or anything else, you're okay. But if it has any sugars, 45 grams is almost a cup. Okay, so just take it from there.
Well, and one of the things that parents can think about is we're creating good dental hygienes, is that if you're thinking about not giving the child soda or candy when they're young, it's also going to help them control their weight when they're older, because they don't get used to eating all that sugar all those things that are probably not the healthiest things for us to eat.
Correct. And remember, I mean, a lot of us, Rafaela, I mean, we grew up moving around. I remember mom saying, okay, you go and play and don't come back till 5 o'clock. Okay, we all went out, and at 5 o'clock you were back at home because it was dinner time. Our kids now in today's society are not going out. They're not going out to play. Some schools don't even have breaks anymore. So we have a generation that sits down in front of a computer or a video game for hours. And what do they eat and drink? Usually junk food, chips, Cheetos, or whatever it is. What is it? The one very popular, those red Tostitos,
Yes, yes.
flaming, whatever it is, for hours. You know, then we wonder why we have most of our new generations overweight. Now the American society is overweight, and we have underlying conditions as diabetes as one of the most prevalent conditions. It's all about the diet. It's all about exercising. It's all about hygiene. And in this new normal, Rafaela, that we're living on, that we're going to be at home more, I find myself open the refrigerator just because let me see what is there. I know what is there. So keep it with more vegetables, more. Easy for you to say, Dr. Garcia. No, trust me, it's not easy. It's just a matter of getting into the habit that I don't drink fried food. I mean, I don't drink sodas. I don't eat a lot of fried stuff. I have to control the tortillas and the bread and have healthy choices. So when you open that refrigerator, something healthy jumps out at you, and it's not a liter of soda or, you know, a big, beautiful chocolate cake.
And you're right, because, you know, that's something also that, especially during this time, we have to be very mindful of that we're not outside. You know, I was talking to Ignacio, whom you know, our president and CEO, and I was telling him, I'm like, God, I'm going to gain weight because you're working from home. You're not going out. You're not doing that. So you need to be very mindful of your intake. And you have to figure out maybe how to do a little bit of exercising and all that. And if we think of that, you know, if we eat healthier, it's not only helping us on our weight during this time, but also in the proper hygienes for our teeth. We're eating stuff that is not going to have all that sugar, that's not going to make us go to the dentist because we need to have a cavity fix or a crown, you know, replaced. And like you said earlier, I think when you have a dental pain, I was sharing with someone and I was telling him, I think it's more painful than when I had my kids.
Yes, it is. Remember, the baby usually is in your mid-side. Your teeth are next to the brain. All those nerves shoot straight to the brain. So, I mean, it's just natural. It's very, very painful. And you're right. I have heard that they hurt more than labor. So, si duele más que tener un bebé, hay que lavarse los dientes, hay que tener una buena alimentación, hay que hacer ejercicio. You're right on target, Rafaela, when you say it's 3 things. It's diet, exercise, and choices. And in those choices have to be healthier choices. And like we were talking about, in the new normal, we're going to be more at home, and all of us are doing these town halls now, sitting in front of a computer, right? So we're going to finish and say, oh my God, what do I have out there? And the last thing you want to have is a big bag of Butterfingers. So, I mean, if you have some carrots or something healthier, chances are, you know, you're going to have those choices. Si tiene la casa llena de cosas más saludables, hey, you know, vamos a tener cosas más saludables. And what we want to avoid is the next generation, you know, to have some of the underlying conditions, you know, diabetes, high blood pressure, you know, cardiac issues. So we need to move, we need to eat better, and we need to brush our teeth for a well general being.
Yeah, and you know, this is one of the reasons why we ask you, and again, thank you for agreeing to be one of our speakers. But normally when we have the children, you know, dropped off at our center, the teachers there brush their teeth after they eat and so forth. And now the parents have to do that at home. So it's good for them to have seen that video. It's good to know that they have to demonstrate proper hygienes for their children. So that way kids copy and they want to do everything the parents do, you know.
Right.
You know,
Lead
so
by example. You cannot say, oh no, mommy can have her purse full of sugar and bubble gum, but you cannot eat it because Dr. Garcia say no. Oh no. When Dr. Garcia says no, he says it's for everybody, including grandma and grandpa, because I hear that one all the time. No, si no soy yo, doctora Garcia, son los abuelitos, not me, grandparents. You know, if you set up the rules in advance, grandma, grandpa, you know, we're coming along, but guess what? We're gonna have a little piece, and I'm not saying never to have a piece of candy or never to have a piece of chocolate or avoid fried foods altogether. A little bit in moderation once in a while when we're going to the birthday party, when we're going to get all together, it's not gonna hurt. The problem is in today's world, we are surrounded by it. We have parties all the time, get-togethers, and right now we're not having them. But if you have them at home, it's the same. So it's all about education, knowing what we're all going to do together, right? As a family, as a unit. So when we go and see Dr. Garcia or your dentist, we all can have a clean bill of health. So that's the purpose.
and that's good because that also the children don't they're not afraid of coming to the dentist. They look at, you know, okay, I'm going to go to see the dentist because it's just to clean my teeth, to make them look whiter, prettier. But you're not afraid that you're going to have a cavity fix or something done to your teeth. It's just simply maintenance, you know, to be able to go to the dentist. And you can like your dentist and not be afraid of your dentist.
That's right, and that is extremely important. When you grow up with a healthy mouth, you love to go to the dentist. We're going to get stickers and we're going to get, you know, to see the staff and play with them, and I want to learn something. When you have to have extractions, when you have to have a lot of other procedures, even when today we have a lot of sedation that we can do different ways to do any procedure and have you in more comfort. Well, I mean, not necessarily if you take care of yourself.
Yeah, so it's really important that from a very young age we teach our children that, so that becomes our routine. It's something normal, and we don't have to be reminding them all the time because it's just something that they do day in and day out.
Exactly. They have learned it since they were young. It's a way of life.
So going with that, and if we don't have any of our viewers sending me more questions, I wanted to share a little bit back to your story, because, you know, I tell people, as you know, I work with a lot of students and we're always trying to see how we can help them educate. You and I met each other a long time ago at a fundraiser that we did for students in STEM with Jesse and others. But I always tell people, you know, we're, I guess, celebrating the first, you know, and we mentioned earlier that you were the first Latina to serve on the Dallas County Commissioner Court. And it's great that you were. I just hope one day we're able to say we're not going to celebrate any first, because we're going to have so many people in those positions. But thank you for taking that challenge, that role, and saying, I'm going to do that, because that opens the door. You're a role model for our children to be able to understand that you can be a mom, you can be a wife, you can have an education, you can have a practice of your own. So there's really no limitation that you have except the ones that you set for yourselves. That working hard and your commitment and dedication is really going to allow you to accomplish whatever your goals may be.
Thank you, Rafael. And you just say it, you know, it's not about being the first, it's about being the best. And for me, the fact that I was the first immigrant in the city council or the commissioner's court is not as important as be sure that we help the community. And that's, I know in today's world, when there's so much distrust of government, of governmental institutions, the reality is, I always tell people, get involved. Be sure that you're part of the decision making. Remember, guys, acuérdense, when we're not at the table, we're part of the menu. Cuando no estamos en la mesa, somos parte del menú. So is very important. And people say, oh, Dr. Garcia, but that's why we elected you. No. You got me elected to, like you said, Rafaela, open the door for Latinos to get contracts, for, people of color to be in the forefront, for health, for how do we get into the courts, in the juvenile system, in everything that makes a decision in your daily life. I mean, I always tell my constituents, remember, you might not like government. A lo mejor a nadie le gusta el gobierno. But since you start your day in the morning, when you open the faucet, cuando abres la llave para lavarte los dientes, because I know that's the first thing you will do. You brush your teeth first thing in the morning. Where does the water come? From city government. When you go and pick up your newspaper and the sidewalk, sidewalks are city. When you go to the rec center for the summer program, that's the city. When you go to the park, it's the city. When you go to the courts, it's the county. When you go to the health clinic, it's the county. When there's so many services that you get from government and from your taxes y por sus impuestos. Remember, we all pay them. Todos pagamos impuestos, legal or not legal, we all pay them. Get involved. I'm very happy to see so many young people running for office, and especially Latinas, young Latinas getting elected in the last 10 years. That you're right. I mean, this is just the beginning. I always say I never thought I was going to be Rafaela. I thought I was going to be a dentist, a great wife, a fabulous mother that was going to get involved and support my husband. Listen, how would you think that I finished being an elected person, right? Well, a woman, a Latino, an immigrant with an accent. The door is there. And I want to remind everybody to fill out the census form. Que llenen sus formas del censo, because those are the services. Esos son los servicios que vamos a necesitar en los siguientes 10 años. Those are the services and the funds that we're going to need in the next 10 years. And guess what also? Political representation. We still don't have a senator or a congressman from the North Texas region that is a Latino or Latina. Todavía no tenemos ni un congresista, ni un senador que es Latino o Latina en el norte de Texas. Apenas, we just elected the first 2 women in Texas to Congress. Veronica Escobar and Elba Garcia. So we still talking, like you say, about the first, Rafaela, when we are 45% of the population, cuando la población latina es un 45%. Why? Because we need to participate. Necesitamos participar, que nos vean y llenar el censo. No tengan miedo. Don't be scared of filling the census. It doesn't have to do anything with your legal status. No tiene nada que ver con su, posición migratoria, con su, su condición migratoria. Ahorita lo que queremos es que sepamos cuánta gente va a vivir aquí en el Dallas y en la norte de Texas en los siguientes 10 años. Y el censo es lo que nos da la oportunidad de tener el dinero basado en la población. And the Latino population is going to be the biggest population. Nosotros vamos a ser el número más grande en población. So, si no llenamos el censo, y ahorita tenemos muchas áreas latinas donde no lo han llenado. Y son las zip codes y son las áreas, los códigos postales de la mayoría latina. So, gracias otra vez, Rafaela, por el apoyo y gracias a todos ustedes. Thank you to everybody that is in this forum because the reality is education, I always say, is the key to success. La educación es la base del éxito.
And for us Latino, it's a form to even the field for us. When we have an education, we're able to participate at the table, like you said. So I think that's very important. Knowing that you are addressing a lot of our youth, our parents that have babies from 6 months to 3 years old, they themselves being very young, what kind of advice would you give them to think both about just them and their children?
Well, remember, you're going to be the role model for your kids. Usted es ahora sí que el héroe de sus hijos durante la infancia. You set the example, and life is about choices. I mean, usted va a poner el ejemplo y la vida es acerca de hacer las decisiones correctas para usted y para su familia. I know that in today's world, women are more involved than ever before. Now they're even teachers, they're teaching at home. Las mujeres están muy envueltas ahorita en la familia, and we are the last ones to usually get the help and get the, the care that we need. Y somos las señoras las que se ponen siempre al final en las necesidades. But remember, there is help out there. Yo les digo, no tengan miedo a pedir ayuda o para tener servicios. Don't be scared of asking for help or services. And of course, encourage your kids. Encourage them to do what they love to do in education. Like I say, nowadays we have more Latinos graduating from college than ever before. Tenemos más latinos graduándose del colegio que en muchos años pasados. And guess what? Most of them Latinas. We have more Latinas getting masters and doctorates. Tenemos más Latinas y Latinos teniendo doctorados y maestrías. We are going up into the labor force. I mean, vamos subiendo en la fuerza laboral and in the economic, in the economic position, in la posición económica. We have a buying power that is second to none, and our population is young. Nuestra población es la gente joven. So I see in the future the young Latinos and Latinas that are going to lead not only this county, but this nation into the next generation. So I want them to be educated. I want them to say my mom and my dad, did everything they could so I could get the benefits. Yo quiero que digan mi mamá y mi papá hicieron todo lo que pudieron para educarse para que yo hoy tenga la posibilidad to be your next president of the United States of America.
And hopefully with that, I hope we do have already the first Latino president or Latina for the United States. So hopefully she's already born, and we'll be able to see that sometime in the future.
It's already born, my friend. And Washington, and I'll be screaming out of joy to the moon and back. And the scientist that is going to find the cure for cancer, the first astronaut that is going to go to not Mars, and God knows what the future is out there for us. But the Latinos and the Latinas have to have the funds. That's why we have to fill out the census form and have to have the education. And that's what I'm so happy. Estoy tan contenta siempre de estar con ustedes en la comunidad, y cualquier cosa, tienen mi teléfono, Rafaela, tienen mi email, no duden en llamarnos si en algo podemos ayudar. Don't forget to call if we can help you in any way we can. And, thank you for your support, and thank you for your friendship, and of course for allowing me the opportunity to serve you.
Thank you so much again for sharing this wonderful information for parents, for being a great role model in our community. And with that, Raul, we turn it over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Garcia. Thank you, Rafaela. That was a great presentation. We had, let me see, there was a couple of questions, quick ones.
Good.
There was one that was asking, what is the earliest age that you should take your child for the very first visit to the dentist? At what age?
3 months. 2 to 3 months.
Okay, 2 to 3 months. There was another one. At what age do you recommend that a kid is checked for braces?
Well, obviously, once they get into mixed dentition, una vez que ya tienen la dentición mixta, we can have an idea if it's very crowded in the front teeth, if they're going to need braces or not. Now we have what they call interceptive orthodontics. Ahora se tienen lo que se llama frenos interceptivos. Por lo general, in general, braces are put between 11, 12, 13 years old, depending on how crowded they are. Por lo general, los frenos se ponen entre los 11 a 13 años, por lo general, una vez que ya estén los caninos, que son, once the canines are in the mouth, which are the corner teeth, it's usually when braces are put. Obviously, we don't do it in my office, but we have a lot of orthodontists that do this work. And sometimes some insurances cover some treatments. And Medicaid covers some of the what they call complicated treatments. They used to. Today, it's only by certain cases.
Okay. Another one here. What is the frequency to have infants and toddlers visit the dentist?
Well, like I say, Medicaid pays from the time they are 3 months old, every 3 months until they're 3 years, and then every 6 months until they are 18 years old. So Medicaid cubre a los niños desde que tienen 2 a 3 meses, cada 3 meses por 3 años, y después de eso, cada 6 meses hasta que tienen 18 años.
Perfecto. That's good. One more. What snacks do you recommend for young children?
What?
Snacks.
Snacks? Oh, I mean,
sí.
Snacks, sure. I mean, anything, like I always say, the great news about, our snacks is that all of them say the amount of sugar. Obviously, the best snack is the natural snack. A fruit, peanut butter, you can make a smoothie. You can always be creative. I've seen Mickey Mouses made with blueberries and strawberries and Jello. I mean, things that they're not loaded with sugar.